You're heading to the store to get an Xbox One right now, and need to know which games to get. Or you're at work or in school, daydreaming about what you want to play next. Or maybe you're suiting up for a battle in the console war, cinching on your armor and trying to remember which games will best help you make the argument for Microsoft's new console. We're here to help. These days there are more good Xbox One games than ever, with new contenders arriving all the time. In the list below, we've listed the games we recommend for Microsoft's machine. We will, of course, continue to update the list regularly as more games are released for the Xbox One. We've kept the list at 12, and will continue to remove old games to make way for new, better entries. Here goes. From tip to tail, Red Dead Redemption 2 is a profound, glorious downer. It is the rare blockbuster video game that seeks to move players not through empowering gameplay and jubilant heroics, but by relentlessly forcing them to confront decay and despair. It has no heroes, only flawed men and women fighting viciously to survive in a world that seems destined to destroy them. It is both an exhilarating glimpse into the future of entertainment and a stubborn torch-bearer for an old-fashioned kind of video game design. It is a lot, and also, it is a whole lot. A good match for cowboys, open-world connoisseurs, history buffs, lapsed game-playing persons lured by a game whose atmosphere strikingly mimics many masterpieces of film and literature. Not a good match for those averse to open worlds, because this sure is the open-worldest of all possible open worlds. Also, Sonic the Hedgehog fans need not apply. Your cowpoke's walking speed is the exact opposite of going fast. Cuphead doesn't look or sound like any other video game. Take one look at the gorgeous backdrops, 1930s inspired art style, or take one listen to the Ellington-infused big band soundtrack. It plays more familiarly, a side-scrolling shoot 'em up that turns players into perfectionists. Each boss requires precision, planning, and perfect timing to defeat, and the rush of victory is like nothing else. Come for the beautiful art and music, stay because you can't stop playing until you finally beat this next boss. A good match for people who like mastering brutally difficult games, anyone who wants a video game that looks unlike any other. Not a good match for the easily frustrated, those who don't love old-school side-scrolling shoot-'em-up games. Hitman 2 follows the same basic structure as 2016's Hitman, and in fact contains the original game with some graphical and gameplay updates. Cloned killer Agent 47 jet sets to locations around the globe on the trail of a shadowy, powerful figure, assassinating other shadowy, powerful figures along the way. The plot is sprawling and can be hard to follow, but it's all just a basic framing for the game's essentials, sneaking around in third person, playing dress up, and murdering people. Levels are huge and varied, and even a brisk trip through them reveals almost too many ways to take out your targets. Hitman 2 feels best when you use people's routines and passions against them because you were patient enough to learn them. Hitman 2 gives players more opportunities to do this than ever. It's a more ambitious game than the previous Hitman while still staying true to the series' murderous essentials. A good match for fans of the series, people who like methodical stealth gameplay, anyone who wishes they could effortlessly look great in any pair of pants. Not a good match for the impatient, players who want action. Agent 47 can't last long in a firefight, and avoiding conflict is usually your best bet. Nier Automata will probably surprise you. It starts out as a fast-moving action game in the vein of Bayonetta or Devil May Cry, telling a story about hot robots exploring a ravaged future Earth. And until the first time the credits roll, that's what it remains. Keep playing, though, and Nier will begin to open up and transform. It shifts viewpoints and twists inside of itself, eventually unfolding in a spiral of revelations that crescendos all the way to the grand finales. Yes, you must finish Nier Automata 5 times to get the complete story. But like the rest of this fantastic game, that doesn't mean what you think it means. A good match for fans of narrative mindfucks like the first Nier or the Metal Gear Solid games, people looking for something ambitious and unapologetically weird. Not a good match for people who like their game stories straightforward, anyone who doesn't like beat-em-ups or shoot-em-ups. You're alone on an island, surrounded by puzzles. That's The Witness, an extremely complicated game that is really very simple. Some of the puzzles are obvious, they're on screens right in front of you, stacked in orderly rows. Other puzzles are much less easy to find. All of them will stymie and confound you, but over time you'll gradually dismantle them until the game's grand design is laid out in front of you like the workings of a finely crafted watch. Some games make you level up your character to access new areas, this one makes you level up yourself. There are few more satisfying feelings in gaming than when you finally realize the solution to a puzzle in the witness. With a click, a new door opens. A good match for puzzle fiends, people who like a challenge, anyone who liked Myst and wants to see what a modern evolution would be like. Not a good match for anyone wanting action, the easily frustrated, people who don't like puzzles in games and generally just go look up the answers. Titanfall II gave us what we were expecting, more of its trademark fleet-footed, giant robot-enhanced competitive multiplayer. It also gave us an unexpectedly fantastic single-player story campaign, and that's really what sets it apart. What could have been a series of bot matches or boring corridor shootouts instead was an uncommonly well-designed hybrid of platforming and action movie gymnastics. The spirits of Valve and Nintendo are alive and well at Respawn Entertainment, evidently. Sea of Thieves started poorly. Server troubles and hacker-filled waters made it difficult to enjoy, but pressing on with a group of friends revealed a promising game that wasn't quite there yet. Slowly, the waters became less rocky as free content updates brought giant shark battles and new regions to explore. The anniversary update pushes Sea of Thieves into its best form yet. There's the usual hijinks with pals, but there's also a full-fledged story mission with fantastic tombs to explore as well as a hectic player versus player arena. If that's too much, you can just fish by your lonesome or set sail with your crew and see what happens. There was always potential here, and Rare's put the hard work into making Sea of Thieves life up to the promise of high seas excitement. There's no other game quite like it, and anyone looking for a different type of multiplayer adventure would do well to leap in. Maybe you'll get blown up by a rival crew, maybe you'll haul a big score of treasure. No matter what, you'll have a unique story by the end of the day. A good match for pirate enthusiasts, people in desperate need of a beach vacation, jerkfaces, Discord pals, and anyone looking for a change of pace. Not a good match for solo players, although some disagree, folks who hate losing all their stuff when someone sinks their ship, anyone who wants a super deep story. Just as there must always be a Stark at Winterfell, there must always, apparently, be a Forza Horizon game on our list of the best Xbox One games. Forza Horizon 4 uses the same winning formula that has worked so well for every preceding game in the series, spicing things up further with a ton of new cars and, most notably, weather that shifts with the seasons. It is, to paraphrase a wise man, the Rolex watch of Hot Wheels playsets, a game that looks amazing, feels wonderful to play, and will remind car lovers everywhere why they love cars. A good match for car lovers, driving enthusiasts, those who like seeing immaculately rendered video game weather. Not a good match for those who haven't enjoyed previous Horizon games, anyone who prefers open-world games that let you get out of your car and walk around, people hoping to see Toyota cars in a racing game. There's no shortage of ambition in The Witcher 3: Wild Hunt. Geralt of Rivia's latest adventure is massive, a world you can get lost in for hours and still have plenty to do. And while many games these days have sprawling landscapes, The Witcher 3 is utterly dense. Every nook and cranny is filled with memorable characters, clever writing, and rewards for curious players. The main story is as thrilling as it is emotionally draining, and the side quests are actually worth doing. Best of all? You don't need to have played a Witcher game to enjoy the heck out of the third. A good match for open-world fans, especially those who enjoyed Skyrim but were disappointed by the combat. In The Witcher 3, fighting is nearly as enjoyable as exploration. Not a good match for people who value their time and social life, or those who prefer their games hyper-polished without any framerate drops or other nagging technical flaws. Assassin's Creed Odyssey takes all the role-playing game elements introduced in last year's Origins and expands on them significantly, adding a ton of fun new unlockable skills that will force players to actually focus on their gear and character builds. It also introduces a choice of male or female protagonists, as well as a branching dialogue system reminiscent of games like Mass Effect and The Witcher 3. Quests can have wildly different outcomes based on your decisions. It's an entertaining tour of ancient Greece filled with adventure, romance, and more than a little myth. Just remember that whatever you choose to do, you'll probably have to justify your choices to Socrates at some point. A good match for action RPG fans, those who like games that mix stealth and combat, lovers of Greek history and mythology. Not a good match for those looking for a more traditional stealth-based experience along the lines of earlier Assassin's Creed games, people who are afraid of eagles. It's a fan art generator. It's pure cosplay fodder. It's a meme machine, a water cooler mainstay, and a cultural obsession. Overwatch is all of those things, but above all else it's a finely tuned competitive video game that manages to encourage pitted competition and enthusiastic teamwork while ensuring everyone is having a good time. A good match for Team Fortress 2 fans, people who liked banging action figures together as a kid, people who wanted to try a competitive first-person shooter but haven't yet found the right fit. Not a good match for anyone who wants to play offline, or who is hoping for a substantial single-player story campaign. Overwatch is strictly multiplayer only. For years, the best way to understand why so many people love Monster Hunter games was to play one on a mobile device. With Monster Hunter World, everything that makes Capcom's long-running series so great is finally playable on a modern, big-screen gaming system. World takes advantage of that screen real estate, and the massive beasts you'll fight look just as fearsome as you'd expect. World may be the most approachable Monster Hunter game yet, but it's still a complex, rewarding game that you can play for hundreds of hours without running out of things to do. It's fun to play solo, fun to play with friends, and basically just really fun. A good match for anyone looking for a thick, complicated game, those who like Dark Souls-style combat against huge enemies, people who've been intrigued by Monster Hunter and looking for a way to get into the series. Not a good match for those who want a game that's straightforward and easy to get into, vegetarians. Click the link below to get the best product in the market. It's an affiliate link.